my teeth. On the back of an old church pew, I learned to walk in the ways of light and truth. My parents introduced me to music. My dad's a preacher down in North Carolina, and I think you grow up in church in the South, you're around music all the time. So my earliest memories were music. My parents said I used to grab a hymnal and strum it like it was a guitar. So always been a part of my life. I tried to be a good boy, but I ain't a boy no more. Guitar was the thing I could, take in my room and by myself just sit and play. It was a real personable instrument for me. I didn't even play electric guitar for that reason. I didn't want anybody else to hear what I was doing. I wanted to sit in my room with my acoustic guitar in the corner and just, be alone with my music. It was my time. My silence, you can't steal my voice. You can't keep me quiet. I will bring the noise. Try to beat me down, tell me to shut my mouth, but there's a time to speak. The time is now. I wrote songs. Again, I was kind of an introvert. My dad was a pastor. We moved around a lot, so it was tough for me to make friends. The guitar really was my friend. It was a way for me. That sounds depressing, right? It was a way for me to just kind of, be in my room and express myself because I didn't really have anyone to talk to or whatever. And so songs were the same thing. I wrote songs as a way to just communicate, not with anyone else, but just to get my thoughts out, because there really wasn't anyone else to listen. I come from the conservative South where you speak when you're spoken to. so it wasn't like I was going out having conversation with adults, and I didn't have friends really because we moved around so much. So I would just sit in my room and think my thoughts out loud to music. Before I knew it, I was writing songs. I didn't even know that's what I was doing. And the time is now. Somewhere along the line, one of the songs I had written, my dad heard it or something like that, heard me singing, and he made me sing at church. Made me sing a song I wrote. And I sang that, and looking back on it, I'm not even sure how it happened, but somehow, the snowball effect took place, and I started singing more and more. By the time I was 18 years old, I was traveling all over the country, living out of my car, singing songs wherever I could. And by the time I was 23, someone in Nashville heard a little CD that I had made. I never came to Nashville. I never knew anything about the music industry. But somehow one of the little CDs I made came here, and I got offered a record deal. So my wife and I, we moved here after I signed my first record deal. That was 2003. I play about 100, 110 shows a year, and a lot of them are solo shows, just me and my guitar. But I also team up with other people at different times and do different shows. Kirk Cameron and I have done a marriage event together called Worth Fighting For, Love Worth Fighting For. We've probably done 120 to 150 of those over the past 4 years, and have plans to continue it. And then every now and then I hook up with different artists. I seem to be doing a lot of stuff with comedians lately. I don't know why, but I've done a bunch of shows with Shonda Pierce. I'm out with Mark Lowry right now. In 2006, I had a song that I had recorded that was chosen to be on this movie called Fireproof, with Kirk Cameron in it, actually. And I didn't know him or know anything about the movie, and I almost didn't let him use the song because I wrote the song for my wife, and I didn't want her to feel like I wrote it for an opportunity. Here it is, I'm licensing this song that was her song. So I actually asked her for permission before I let them license the song, and she said that they could. And that movie turned out to be a really huge movie. It's grossed well over $100 million and opened a ton of doors for me. And I wrote the song after a fight, and it's turned out to be one of my most popular songs. So right now I just try to start fights with my wife all the time just to see what see what other songs could come out of it. So that opened a lot of doors, and next thing you know, I'm starting getting other phone calls from other movies. I've licensed songs to other movies, and really proud of a song that I recently got licensed in a new movie with Kirk Cameron called Unstoppable. The song is called The Time Is Now, and it's topped the iTunes singer-songwriter chart a couple of times now as it's bounced up and down, but I'm very proud of that song and proud of the fact that people are getting to hear it. And then besides that, I'm actually in the new Tyler Perry Medea Christmas movie, if I don't get edited out. You know how that stuff goes. But I did this benefit concert down in Atlanta, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you're really good. I work in in film, and maybe I can use some of your music sometime." And I kind of blew it off. I thought, "Oh yeah, here's this guy," and he gave me his business card. And when I looked down at it, it said President of Tyler Perry Films. So I thought, well, this is kind of a big deal. So I gave him my number and didn't hear from him. About 2 years later, he calls me up, says they're doing this Medea Christmas movie and they need a country band. And do I think I could fill that spot? So I took my McPherson guitar down to Atlanta, and I called old Larry over there and said, "Hey, send me some hats, man. I need to look like a country band on this deal." So yeah, hopefully when you check out Medea Christmas, you're gonna see me in my McPherson and my Matthews bow hat. I'm an acoustic guitar fan. I'm always trying to figure out what's the new thing going around, especially boutique guitars. I'm really into stuff that no one else has knows about that much. And so years ago, when McPherson first started coming out and was getting on the scene in the Christian music world, I started seeing them around and was interested in what's that guitar with that strange sound hole? What is that about? And I think I was actually on a music boat cruise, one of those Christian music boat cruises. And one of the guys from For Him had a McPherson guitar, and I sat up on the front. We were sitting up on the boat one night, right in the front, and I was playing that guitar. Probably playing something from the Titanic or something. playing that guitar. And so I just kind of always thought it were really amazing, beautiful guitars. And then I became friends with Brian White and was over at his house playing guitars and hanging out, and next thing I know, I'm friends with the guy that runs the studio here, McPherson Studio here in Nashville, surrounded by all these McPherson guitars, and didn't have one for myself. The reason it's my guitar of choice, well, one, it's consistent. I use a lot of house systems. I'm playing churches. I'm playing 110 churches a year, and I go in with my tuner and my cable, and I plug into their DI, and I go. And there's not a church every church I go into, I can look up at the sound guy and say, flatten the EQ, flatten everything out and give me some volume, and I start playing and they all go, that sounds amazing. It's the consistency that I get in that setting that I love. I like the McPherson neck. I feel like I learned how to play. When I was 8 years old, my parents bought me a classical guitar, and that's how I learned to play. And so my fingers are big, and I need a neck on a guitar that is spread out, that lets me. And so to me, the way the neck feels in my hand, I can play through it. I never flub on strings. It just feels like what I learned, how I learned to play. A lot of guitars today, the neck's too small. It's just I can't get my, I'm just flubbing all the time because the strings are too close together. I like how this feels in my hands, and I don't make many mistakes when I play it, and I think that's more the guitar than me. Of course, I have Taylors, and I have other custom guitars. I have several Baronet guitars that are custom guitars, and I have an old Gibson that my wife's grandfather gave me. And I like playing those guitars around the house. But when I'm up on stage, there's just something about the way this neck feels in my hand that the other guitars don't compare to. And so I just feel more confident when I'm playing in my McPherson.
If you're waiting for your right time, it will fly right by you. Always planning, never moving. Always praying, but never doing. It ain't living if you're spending your life waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right time. Oh, right now is the right time. Yeah, yeah. Right now is the right time.